You are Locked On Wolves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Maybe the best total team effort we've seen all year tonight, top to bottom from the Wolves. They crushed the Bucks in Milwaukee, 139-106. That's your final. What's going on? Back in the lab, back at it. Another T-Wolves postcast right here on the all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks to you guys, by the way, number one sports podcast network, Jack Borman, as always, Wolves expert, NBA expert. If you haven't yet, give him a follow on X, at Jared Borman13. I'm Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. Of course, you got to follow our guy, Ben Beacon, host of the Locked On Timberwolves show each and every day as well. Lots to get into, Jack. Game MVP, biggest X factor. That's going to be tough to pick. What we'll be talking about tomorrow. But just off the top, man, just to get us rolling, Wolves absolutely cruised past the Bucks tonight. Almost like watching varsity playing the JV team. Maybe the best team vibes we've seen all year when we talk about things like, chemistry, cohesiveness, things like that, especially when we consider what they just did without Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert, which we'll get into. I'll kick it over to you for all the, fun stats and facts from this one. But sometimes when a starter or two in this case goes down, what a great opportunity for others to kind of step up and kind of maximize those, valuable reps, that valuable playing time. And that's exactly what we saw tonight from a bevy of T-Wolves in this one, Jack.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's always fun to be able to look at the team through a little bit of a different lens in some of these games. I think it's also a pretty fun opportunity to learn about what some of these Timberwolves players can do when their role changes a little bit. And I think we saw that last season with, seeing what Jaden McDaniels could do when Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert were both out at the same time. And we get it this time around. It was the first game of the year that Rudy Gobert missed. So you got to give Rudy a lot of credit for just his availability. But I think, it's every single guy that played tonight played well, I think, at least in the main core rotation. I mean, I thought it was the best vibes win of the year as well. I think everybody just played incredibly free. I think sometimes in these games you can see guys press, but it looked like a team that is just super well connected and loves rooting for one another and had a great time playing out there alongside one another. And I think, again, 7 of the 8 rotation guys who played were plus 18 or better in this game, which is awesome to see. The Timberwolves led by 31 at halftime. They had 29 assists to 8 turnovers in the first 3 quarters. I just thought the way they shared it, played super efficient basketball, was great. You look at kind of breaking down the different units. The starters won 85-72, so plus 13. The bench won 54-34, so they were a plus 20, which was great. And the Wolves were able to empty the bench with 8:15 left. So, I mean, none of the Timberwolves players played more than 30 minutes. You saw 4 guys play 30 minutes on the dot. So it was great. Great to see that. I think just everybody had their hands in this game, and that always makes it a ton of fun to watch. And I just thought the Timberwolves brought great energy from the jump in this game, right? I think Giannis is so done with this Bucks team and just being in Milwaukee.
He looked like toast, man. Yeah.
I mean, Giannis is the best defensive player in the league when he wants to be. And there were probably 3 or 4 low man rotations that he could have made to just annihilate guys at the rim and totally force passes instead of wide open dunks or layups. And he just didn't care. And that's just so not like Giannis. So it was kind of jarring to see that. I mean, he and Kevin Porter Jr. had a combined 9 made shots and then also combined 8 turnovers in that first half, which just kind of sums up Milwaukee's chances when those 2 guys aren't playing really good basketball. Every single guy that played in the first half was a plus 11 or better. Just really good to see that the Timberwolves still played well despite switching up the starting lineup, obviously having some rotation changes. I mean, this is, I believe, the 5th different starting lineup the Timberwolves have used this season, which is the fewest in the NBA. And so, and then kind of the main event for me, big picture tonight was Johan Berenjay, right? I think it's pretty easy to see why some comps are a young Giannis, some comps are Rudy Gobert with better hands and a little bit more offensive upside because, I mean, he showed all of that tonight. I think the one stat that stuck out to me that's not necessarily a box score stat, but is one that I was tracking manually myself. There were 17 points scored off of second chances or turnovers that Berenjay created. He was only credited with 4 offensive rebounds and 1 steal, but I think he forced 2 or 3 other turnovers in addition to that. And then, made extra effort plays that resulted in other guys getting offensive rebounds as well. And so I think when you have a guy out there that can create that many extra possessions for your team, that matters a ton, right? The Timberwolves had 20 second chance points on 9 offensive rebounds. So I think that kind of speaks to the fact that even when they weren't able to come up with those offensive rebounds, they still got second chances and were able to score off of them. And then just sticking with Joan, I think the biggest thing about him, he just makes everything more difficult for the opponent. And I think for a starting center in today, or a guy that you want to be your starting center in today's NBA, that's all you can ask for, really. I think on the offensive end of the floor, he makes defenders think about where he is at all times in terms of where he is as a rebounder. I mean, you just watch him on the offensive end. He's just constantly moving around. I really liked the way that he's spaced between the dunker spot on either side of the rim and then getting in front of the rim too, just kind of switching between those 3 spots and roaming around to create space for Julius Randle to get into his isolations at the elbows. And he was really efficient in those, in part because he had a ton of space with which to work. So that was awesome to see. And then just look at the raw stats, right? I mean, he had 13 points, missed 1 shot, 4 offensive rebounds. You'd like to see him have more than 1 defensive rebound. But the great thing about Berenje is that when he knows he's not going to be able to get a rebound, he just flies up the floor. And he's super athletic. That's where kind of some of the Giannis comps can come into play, in that he just runs effortlessly, and he's super fast and super fluid as an athlete, which is awesome to see. And then the only real negative about Berenje tonight was he had four fouls in 30 minutes. But again, like with Johan, he's never really going to play more than 15 to 20 minutes in a game unless a guy's hurt. So that's not something that's a super pressing, I think, negative for him right now. But overall, just a super encouraging win for the Timberwolves, considering they didn't have who have been unquestionably their 2 most important players all year long.
Yeah, so many great positive takeaways from this game for sure. Let's hand out some more flowers here with our player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Couple good options tonight here. Julius led the team with 29. Jaden McDaniels really got the train off the tracks in the first quarter. 14 points, couple monster threes. But got to pick one here, Jack. Who are you going to go with here for tonight's player of the game for the Wolves?
Yeah, for me, it's going to be Julius Randle. I just think when you think about what he did in the fourth quarter against San Antonio on Sunday, he's asked to D up Wemby, do all the dirty work on offense. Doesn't really get as many touches in the flow of the offense, but still comes back with those 2 huge putbacks. And then tonight is scaled up in a way that they really need him. Takes the most shots in the team tonight and was just super efficient from the jump. He was physical. And when he wasn't being physical, he was knocking down jump shots that he was stepping back into or just catching and shooting from 3. And I think that's super important to see. I mean, Randle coming into tonight, I think was like 1 of 8 or something like that on his threes in the last couple of games. And what did he do tonight? He came out and shot 4 of 7 from 3 over the top of Giannis, which was great. And then in the first half, right? I mean, he just came out on fire, had 24 points, made 10 of his 14 shots, had 6 assists to 2 turnovers as the main initiator of the offense, and still had 5 rebounds. And so, and on the other end of the floor, he took the Giannis challenge for the majority of the game. And Giannis, for a good chunk of the first half, had as many turnovers as he had made shots. So I think that Randle did everything the Timberwolves could have asked him to do tonight. I think when you scored 29 points on 18 shots in 30 minutes, pretty darn good. And I think, again, it just goes to show this Timberwolves team is incredibly dangerous when Julius Randle brings the right energy to the game. And Chris Hine at the Star Tribune wrote a great piece profiling Julius Randle and kind of examining that part of his game and just types, kind of the different sides of Randle we see, the different energies that I guess we see him bring from game to game, which I think did a really good job of kind of explaining a little bit more about who he is as a person and how that shines through on the court. But when he brings this type of energy to the game, this Timberwolves team is as good as any team in the league, especially when, you do have Ant and Rudy, but he was just super dangerous tonight. And I loved the way that he paired with Jaden McDaniels tonight.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
This one felt out of hand pretty quick. Maybe the best first and second quarter of ball we've seen all year. 38 points in the first quarter. They're up 18. You're thinking, no way they can do it again, right? What's the encore look like? 38 more in the second. They're up 31 at halftime going to the locker room with 76 points. I don't know. Biggest turning point, Jack? Opening tip? When was it and why? Was there one moment or kind of sequence that kind of felt like, okay, this is tipping the Wolves' way pretty early in this one?
Yeah, for me, it was right away in the opening tip. But I think if you want to point to it, I think it was when Jaden McDaniels made his first shot at the 7:14 mark of the fourth quarter. Things were back and forth a little bit from there, but then Jaden McDaniels makes his first shot, and then over the next 7 minutes and 14 seconds makes 4 3-pointers, 3 of which came in the final minute 42 of the first quarter, and he had I think 14 points on 5 of 5 shooting in the first quarter of this game. So I think just the way that Jaden McDaniels came out from the jump, he's been excellent in all these minutes this season playing without Anthony Edwards. He's averaged 20 points, about 5 rebounds, 3.5 assists in the 7 games with Ant. But the most important thing, he's doing it on 55, 42, 91 shooting splits. So he's been super efficient when they've been able to scale his game up. And I think Chris Finch deserves a lot of credit for that being the case for a lot of Timberwolves players across the board. I mean, you look at Randall has been really efficient when Ant's not been out there. Jaden's been really efficient. Bones was awesome tonight. Dante has largely been really important in these games without Ant. I know he didn't shoot as much tonight, but I think just having guys that are willing to buy into a system like that and kind of know how to play off one another and just know what is expected of them on these types of on these types of nights, I think is super important. And so, it was just awesome to see Julius and Jaden come together in the first half the way they did. I mean, they have 16 of 20 from the floor for 41 points, making 8 of their 10 threes in the first half was awesome. So that was great.
Plenty more deep dive, what we'll be talking about tomorrow, plus biggest X factor from tonight. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Monarch Money. You ever go check your bank account and go, where'd my money go? Dining out, online shopping, entertainment, so easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Not just another budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, your investments, your spending. It's all in one place, so you stop just managing your money and instead you start building some wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com. You're getting 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA, half off your entire first year. This episode also brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, without a doubt, most fun I have playing daily fantasy. You can win up to 25 times your money this NBA season. So easy to play. All you got to do, you select 2 or more players. You pick more or less on their projected stats. We're talking points, rebounds, assists, 3-pointers, you name it, they got it. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Right now, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code LockedOnNBA. You're getting a first deposit match up to $100. That's promo code LockedOnNBA at prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. 100% bonus match up to $100. All right, Jack, before we get into what we'll be talking about, biggest X factor tonight. Here we go.
It's time to reveal who made the biggest under-the-radar impact with today's X Factor.
I mean, couple legitimate different directions you could go here, just given the way this one played out tonight, right? Bones Highland, season high, 23 points. He was fantastic. You just touched on J-Mac, obviously, Naz Reid, DDV. Everyone feels like they're in play tonight. Big pick one, though, Jack. Biggest X factor for the Wolves tonight. Who was it and why?
Yeah, we got to get in the bone zone here, Luke.
Bone
again,
zone.
I mean, he's
I
been
want bumper stickers.
He's been the
I
X
want
factor.
hats. I want T-shirts. The Bone Zone.
We need some production in here to take us into the bone zone for some of these segments. I just think for Bones, I think he's the guy that I think could swing this the most when you look at the Timberwolves, not just tonight, but throughout the rest of the season in the playoffs, right? Because I think Bones has clearly showed that he can be that, seventh man. I think Naz is kind of a super 6 man, right? Is a little bit overqualified. And Bones, when you think of what 6 men are traditionally, is guys that can have the ball in their hands, run the offense a little bit, and control things as a scorer. And he certainly did that tonight, right? He was efficient from beyond the arc, super efficient, was 5 of 7 from 3. I feel like he's been getting a lot of open shots. We know him to be a good shooter. He just hasn't seen a lot of them go in, but made them tonight. And then I think most importantly for me with Bones Highland, 5 assists and no turnovers for a guy that's really been heralded more so as just a bench gunner and scorer. I think the poise that he shows, kind of being at the controls, like I've said, can play with either Julius Randle in a little bit more of a free-flowing pitch and catch game, or can play in more traditional pick and roll and really spread the ball around the perimeter. I think has been great with Rudy Gobert and more traditional pick and roll. So I think for Bones, again, for him to score 23 points in 21 minutes, the Wolves were a plus 41 in those 21 minutes. I just think that he's been super important to what the Timberwolves have done over the last month plus, and I think is going to be really important for what the Timberwolves do the rest of the season. I think the Timberwolves just got to hope that they're going to be able to bring him back at a good number this summer, kind of like they were with Nikhil a couple years ago when they got him on that 2 for $8 million, 2 years, $8 million type of deal.
Quick hitters for you, Jack, rapid fire. 3-point shot kind of really sticking out to me right now as I kind of comb through the box score from this one. Season high, 22 3-pointers made. And we all know what a key metric that is for this team specifically, kind of living and dying by the 3-ball at times. But talk to me about that. Any other kind of noteworthy observations you got in the tank here as well?
Yeah, I think it's been mostly living by that 3. I think for the Wolves, the challenge this season has just been being able to get the volume up. It's been steadily increasing over the course of the season, which is good. They're now in the top half of the NBA in 3-point attempts per game. They're top 10 in percentage. And then tonight, right, 22 make season high. They're now 4-0 when they make at least 23s, 8-2 when they make at least 17 threes. They had 15 of them in the first 2.5 quarters. They're on pacing to maybe be able to shoot in the high 20s, which is pretty crazy for an NBA team. But it was also really nice to see Mike Conley kind of continue his resurgence a little bit. I think Mike shot 5 for 30 from 3, 17% in December. Coming into tonight, he was 5 of 12 this month, and then was 3 of 7 tonight. So put those together, 8 of 19, 42%, much closer to the 44% mark he shot it at combined in October and November. So that was great to see. Only three guys played off the bench tonight, which I think was just a very loud signal that the Rob Dillingham experiment is over. I fully expect him to be traded before the deadline here in a few weeks. I thought that it was just kind of fitting that he missed a layup attempt at the buzzer. Friend texted me that just kind of sums up the entire Rob Dillingham experience, which I wholly agree with. Unfortunately, I mean, Rob Dillingham posted on his Instagram story at halftime to give you any indication of kind of where he's at right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so I guess that was maybe one bummer coming out of tonight, but not really a whole lot else to have qualms about, especially with the way that Bones Highland has come on and the bench, really outplayed their opponent for the 3rd straight game tonight. So, just a really fun Timberwolves win, and always great when can get it done shorthanded.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Joe Berenger, man, 2 words. We did it. We finally made. We're here, Jack. Can we finally say that the flag has kind of been officially planted? They got their kind of backup rim protector for the future. How do we feel?
Yeah, I think the Timberwolves better not be trading for a backup, rim protector at the trade deadline, because that's something that's been floating around a little bit. But Johan Berenger, I think, proved that not only is he capable of playing, but he's capable of making a super tangible impact when he does play. And I think that there have been several. I'll say there have been several nights this season where one of Nas or Julius have brought really lethargic energy to the game, and just played really subpar basketball on both ends of the floor for prolonged stretches. There have been nights where they've done it together. And I think if there's a night moving forward where one of them is playing like that, I think Chris Finch should not hesitate to press the Johan Berenger button. And I think, I asked Mike and Nori before the game the other night, is the lack of Berenger minutes more them prioritizing, Julius and Nas, or is it more of Johan not being ready yet? he said it had nothing to do with Yohan not being ready yet, that it was mostly, he compared it to Derek Jeter, backing up Derek Jeter on the Yankees as a backup shortstop for 20 years of like, that doesn't mean you're a bad player. Sometimes there's just other guys who deserve to play more than you. And
imagine Jake Reed stuck behind Chris Carter and Randy Moss. Like, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
Yeah. So I think personally, I would like to see them try to play Nas at the 3, Randall at the 4, and then play Berenger at the 5 in some of these minutes instead of maybe playing, if Jalen Clark's having a tough night or Conley just doesn't have it or Bones just doesn't have it, whatever the case may be. Those two guys have already played the 3 and 4 at different points this season, with Jaden effectively being the backup center defensively. So I think that there's a decent amount of kind of public relation-y answers that have been going around. And I just think it's becoming too hard to ignore that this guy could absolutely make a bigger impact than some of the guys who are playing on any given night, right? I'm not saying that he would be better over a 5-game stretch or a 10-game stretch. I'm just saying, like, on one night, if any of the guys that coming off the Timberwolves bench don't have it, see if Yohan does, right? You got nothing to lose if they're already playing poorly. So I think, again, Bones' emergence and Berenger just having an absolute banger of a debut, I think should have the Timberwolves feeling pretty confident heading into the final stretch of this, or second half of the season, I guess, and how they enter this trade deadline. I think that they've got a lot of flexibility in terms of how they want to be able to handle things, and it'll be really fun to just see how the natural development of those two guys and how they continue to help this team will play out down the stretch here.
T-Wolves stock pointing up right now. Total domination over the Bucks, 139-106. That's your final. 27-14, 13 games above 500. Much love to all you guys, all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat with us from game to game. Love you guys. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Go follow Jack, please, at Jared Borman 13. We'll catch you back here Friday, couple days off, Friday at Houston, 8:30 p.m. tip for that. Until then, again, appreciate all you guys. We'll talk to you next time. Signing out.